Hello again, this is Diann. My conversation today is with Chrissy Jackson. Chrissy is the on-site community builder at Max 6. What that means is she comes around to all of our offices and workspaces and sort of knits us together. She responds to our issues. She takes care of things that are sort of noodling at her. The other thing Chrissy does is she's really involved on her own physical fitness path and has matter of fact become a group fitness instructor lately. She looks like $1,000,000 and it's my pleasure talking to Chrissy Jackson. Hi, Chrissy. Thanks for being with us today. In this brutal, brain-frying heat, I really don't know what we're going to talk about, but let's stay inside and figure it out. How are you doing
Yes.
in this? How are you doing in this heat? Do you have to run around a lot?
Not as much as I do during the non-heat. Today we actually had a flag raising ceremony. It was pretty small, just out here in the parking lot with the McIntoshes and their family. And so we were out there this morning and we did that. And we're going to actually have a more formal one once it cools down and once we can gather with a larger group of people. But that was probably the most that I've done in the heat in quite a while. I try to stay out of it. It's kind of hard though in Arizona, right?
Yeah, it is. It
It's
really
hot.
is. You try to get in your car and your car's been baking in the sun. And so you're doing that thing with your steering wheel where you're just minimally touching it until the air conditioning.
Yeah, we actually, because we have two dogs, as you know, and we take them to doggy daycare because we don't really have an opportunity to walk them at night or the morning because it's still 90 degrees when you wake up, even at 4 a.m. So we've been taking them to doggy daycare so they can get exercise. It's just that hot that
Yeah.
you can't take a dog outside, even at 9 o'clock at night. It's difficult. So,
And I have three older dogs. They're 10 plus. So they are sleeping an incredible amount of time, you know.
I know. How's Murray? Because he doesn't get to come to the warehouse.
I know, and I really think that Murray, who is our little black and white spotted dog, who's actually employee of the month,
Right.
He's
Our mascot at Park Lane.
Yeah, and he's been a little blue. He's been a little. Every time I walk out the door, he's like, "Are we going to the warehouse?" And it's like, "No, Murray, you got to stay here." You know.
Yeah, because he knows everybody.
I know. You know, and it's interesting to be in the warehouse. But I wanted to ask you before we launch into Park Lane.
Yeah.
What's with the flag? Is that a new thing that's just been put in?
Yes, actually, it was just put in earlier this week, and it's been something that Scott and the team has wanted for a while, and we ended up getting it installed. I think it was like Monday. And then we just did like I said, like a small flag raising ceremony with Kim McIntosh. And the flag that is being hung or flown right now is actually Kyle's great uncle. So it meant a lot. And so it was like a small family thing. And we were out there in the parking lot this morning putting it up. So now I know how to hang a flag.
Yeah.
Take down a flag. Actually, I didn't know there was as much etiquette.
It's incredible, you know, when you walk around and you see people with that up wrong, and if you know, it just really kind of, you know, come on.
I do now, yeah. So it was like a small, it was just a small informal ceremony, just because of COVID.
Yeah.
And having everybody out there, and so it was just a small thing. I think maybe pictures might be up online at some point, and there was like a little bit of drone footage, but it's something that's been in the works for a while. And then once once the weather cools down, and I think with COVID, maybe as time progresses, hopefully we can be more in a group, even if it is with masks. But being
that would be fine.
People, I guess, is.
Did you just say something about drones?
Yes, Sam Pagel, he used to own Pelican Media.
I know Sam.
Merged with Resound, and he took drone footage. He's actually taken footage, I believe, of Park Lane, And I think there's some stuff even on the Max 6 website. But yeah, it's pretty cool, like having drones fly around. It was really neat to see it this morning. It was above us, and I was just like looking up, like this is just new technology, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not used to that kind of technology, let alone like being that much a part of it. But I mean, it's huge. I see it on Facebook. I see it on the LinkedIn. You see people advertising for real estate, doing that.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to me. And it's just, we saw it on the ground, and then you could see it, take off and like hover above you. So it was just, I don't think I've ever really paid any attention.
Well, it's kind of good to know that Sam has drone capabilities.
Yeah, he
I
does.
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah, it is. It's really cool. And like I said, I know at certain points he's put things on the website, and he's done like still laps for Max 6 when we were doing the carports in the back here with the solar. So it's neat too for the time lapse video when you start it to win it all the way to the finished product, and seeing that video was really interesting as well.
So your title, just to segue away from that for just a sec, your title is community builder, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Tell me what that means to you, because then I'll tell you what you mean to us.
To me, I love my title, by the way.
It's a great title.
Everybody on the Max 6 team has a title. When I first got to be on the team, and we thought long and hard, and what would be on the business card, and what would make the most sense, and what am I really going to do? And it wasn't just like property manager. It was actually on-site community builder. And to me, that means not just building the community with the people and community members that you have around you, but it's actually building the relationship. It's talking to that person. It's like going to the Truce space and getting to know your staff and getting to say hi. Everybody knows who I am for the most part, when I walk in somewhere. It's having that special touch. It's, lunches or the Zoom meetings, the town halls. It's really being able to build the community and being like, hey, there's Chrissy as a resource. And if I don't know, I can point you in the right direction to somebody who does know. And it's, introducing people to other people. For me, I love to be sociable, as you know. So I'm in everybody's spaces saying hi, and just seeing how they're doing. Because I think that's what makes Max 6 different than any other place is having somebody like myself and our team just walking around to see how you're doing, how's your day, what's going on, and really honestly caring about you. So
I have noticed that you have really improved Park Lane. You have painted the wall, you have put things up, and it's really very charming, and I thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
And I think that there really is a spirit of community there, and this is such an odd time.
Yeah.
As we were kind of talking the other day, sometimes, I love the idea of community build. I love the idea of community. I need that. I can't imagine not having other people around me. But it's challenging in COVID times that everybody is also taking care of themselves and taking care of everybody else. And I must say, Max 6 has taken some very important steps in facilitating that. And I appreciate that as well.
Yes, it's I like you. I was very excited to come back to the office after the first initial. I think I was out for about 8 weeks, and Kyle was in for those couple months when everything first kind of stopped in like March 13th, I think. I was hesitant to get back in the office, but for me, I love the people. I learned I could do my job from home, which I never thought was possible, but it just wasn't the same. I really appreciate that interaction, and I need it. And
that's truly what's missing. That is truly what's missing, and it's missing for everybody. I watch Denis. He works from home. He works a full day. And it's like, wow, he's just on Zoom for hours on end, and I just miss the people. And even though we may talk, casually every morning on Zoom, it's not the same as being face to face. That's why when I walked in the other day and you were there, it was like, oh, hi, you know.
Right?
And we sat down and talked. There you were. I was so pleased to see you.
I know, me too. I was like, but yeah, it is. It's that awkward, like this just awkwardness and
Yeah.
how far you are from somebody. Now I have to pay attention, like, at least arm's length, if not more. And it's just that odd to not give you a hug when I saw you or want to approach you and shake hands as I meet vendors on site and say, nice to see you. That's not, and then you awkward, like, okay, I don't do that anymore. So hi. It's not, it's not the personal, like it's not as personal as it used to be. It's not you're behind a mask or you're behind Zoom. And you just you're not in the same room with somebody, which just not
So
the same.
how often are you working like a regular full-time schedule now?
Yeah. I get here at about 7 a.m. I stop at Park Lane first, and just check everything out, make sure that, there's masks and everything there and there's cleaning supplies. And then I come here and I work a full day. I have since probably, I think the end of April.
Wow.
So people still come in the building. There's still mail that needs to, be sorted, and there's, masks and disinfectants and making sure that each space is, stocked, and there's the day porter. So there's still things that need to happen during the day, and I'm considered essential. So
I'll say.
yeah. So like for me, I have no problems being back. I know other people are just, still a little bit more hesitant, where I'm not as hesitant. We have our different levels. But I wear my mask, and it's now part of like my outfit, right? Like we had talked via text, and it's like part of your outfit.
Yeah.
And usually around my neck. It just so happens in my office, I can visit, like I can take it all off, but usually it's like right here, and different colors, and they go with your outfit now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So and it's just being more mindful. As soon as I step out of this office, that mask comes on, or if somebody steps into my office, the mask has to go up. Yeah.
How's your family doing? I know Tariq is working in Park Lane.
Yeah.
And is he working a full shift?
He was working between 20 to 25 hours. School starts back up Monday or Tuesday for his senior year. It will be on Zoom, online schooling. I think for Mesa, I don't believe he's actually like in an actual, like a Zoom classroom like you and I are doing. I think it's just assignments are online.
Yeah.
He did summer school already. So he did history over the summer, so he wouldn't have to take it his senior year, because he's in second year fire science, since he's going to graduate with fire science degree. And so that is fire science, or EVIT, doesn't start until August 17th or August 10th. And then their expectation is actually to be in person August 17th, to be back at actual EVIT, wearing masks and social distancing, if Governor Ducey okays that. Water polo has been nothing. So he has this weekend actually, they got their first pool time at Cactus Park up in Scottsdale. And it's a 3-hour in the water practice, but masks. I'm not sure what masks look like. I'm not sure exactly like.
Wow.
So this is the first time I think any of them have even been in water, unless they're on the swim team. But for water polo, pools have been shut down. And when you could get pool time, it went to swim. Swim is very huge in Arizona. So they get any time that's available is usually for swim teams. And so this is the first weekend that they're actually going to be in the water playing water polo.
Is he pretty excited?
He is. He's super excited. He's dealt with the not seeing people. He plays video games. So for him, I think it's been a little bit easier. And he's also working. So I think it takes a little bit of his time, but he gets really bored.
Yeah.
And there's 16, and they all Zoom worked for the first couple months, and they were all like on the Zoom call and doing all kinds of fun things and working out. But that kind of phased out, that kind of gets old, seeing your friends on Zoom. But they've done the birthday drive-bys, and we just did one last weekend. So they're, driving by and still wishing everybody happy birthdays. It's just with masks, social distancing. And so it's going to be interesting because it's his senior year.
Yeah.
And is he going to graduate with a regular graduation? Like, that's in May, but what does that look like?
You can't almost think about it. I find that I can't think about that. I can't think about Thanksgiving. I can't think about Christmas. It's like, what? I just can't imagine what all this is going to be like.
Prom, like just those things and he's a boy, so I don't prom. I don't think he cares as much, but his mom does. So I'm like, well, what about prom? He's like, what about it? I'm like, well, just, your mom. I'm like, what? And I'm a girl. So, those things are important. But as I think about like all those things that will be coming up and decisions will have to be made in the next couple of months, like how that goes.
Who was it? John Krasinski had his show, Some Good News. And when graduation came around, it was a really cute show. He sold it to NBC. But it was really cute. These kids that didn't have a prom, he invited kids to get on Zoom in their prom outfits and show what they were doing. And it was like, oh yeah, God, we'll get through this.
I saw some really cute like prom pictures that people had put up like through Facebook and Instagram because they had bought the dresses and it was like, and they had the masks on and they still took like pictures with the masks on. So it was like, you're just finding a different way, which is what makes us awesome, right? We're just finding a way to adapt. My husband works for Target and they are not going back to work until January of 2021.
Wow.
He works at the corporate office. And he goes in only 2 to 3 days a week because he does security, because there's still people that do come in. So you still do have to have security and camera monitoring, but for the most part, his department isn't going in full time until January of 2021. So, but he's doing fine, and they've given him all laptops, and so they can watch security at other Targets to make sure people are wearing masks. And so they have access to like Hawaii Target, and you can go on and make sure that they're following the guidelines for the state.
Oh, that's interesting. That's quite a reach. That's quite a reach. Yeah.
Pretty cool. But so they found constructive ways at Target to keep people employed. They hired like 180 people to work from home for their online business. Has been booming at Target. It's been like super proud that they haven't laid anybody off at Target and that they've been growing and they've been adapting to what's been going on.
I've been shopping Target online. I've been shopping for jigsaw puzzles and t-shirts, Well,
that's funny because I go into Target and I've been looking for puzzles because we now do puzzles.
Go online. Yeah. They can't keep them on the shelf. They cannot.
Isn't it? Yeah, I see them all. We trade them. When COVID first hit, we were trading them back and forth with other people. Because, like once you put it together, it's like, okay, it's great. You undo it and you need a new puzzle. So we were trading them within our group.
Yeah, we do a lot of that. It's
amazing like that is like something, but it's actually really quite relaxing, stress relieving. You just sit down and next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and you're like, I'm still here putting this puzzle together. But yeah, it's just something about putting a puzzle together that's just soothing at least for me, and just sitting.
I think it is for everyone. They call it being in the flow or in the zone. You get into that flow where you start seeing the colors and the shapes, and it's almost like a rhythm.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. Yeah, I've never thought that just never thought that this would be where we're at.
I have puzzles that I work online and on my phone, and they're cheating because the puzzles are all the way they're supposed to be in the puzzle. So I don't have to fool around with moving the pieces around, which way does it go, and that sort of thing.
I should have known that would be in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's tons of jigsaw puzzle sites. There's games galore. But after a while, it's like, You get tired of staring at a little box or an even bigger box, or
Yeah,
I
that's
like a
what
real
you leave it on the
puzzle.
table and you
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like sit there. And I've like when this first hit and when Eric was in the hospital, I would just sit and do the puzzle for like hours because it just kept my
Yeah.
mind busy. And I would be like, oh, I'm just gonna just do that. I used to tell Eric, I'm just gonna do this for like 10 minutes. And he's like, Mom, you're still there. It's like 3 hours later. I'm like, I know, but like I've made a lot of headway. I'm trying to get like
I
this
finished this
section
whole
done.
corner.
Right. I'm really focused on just getting this one section done. And then it turned into like a larger section. And
So are you working 500-piece puzzles or 1,000-piece puzzles? What are you working?
500 and 750. Once I get past 750, that's hard. Like those pieces are small. Like I haven't gotten past the 750.
Okay. Well, I may share 1,000-piece one with you so you can just play with it. The pieces aren't that much smaller, I don't think.
Really?
I like 500-piece on
I
a regular one on the table. 500-piece is about my limit.
Yeah, once you get me kind of past that, I feel like there's too many there's too many options. Like 500 is already a lot. Like I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
doing we did one with the ocean and a turtle, and it was like a lot of it was a lot of it
A lot of it was blue.
and I'm like, okay, like, and it took me, you get frustrated and you're like, I'm gonna figure this out. And I would sit there until I figured it out. And then that's when I would then it would be sometimes 2 hours at a time. Then I was trying to figure it out.
Well, do you keep little bowls with colors separate in each of the bowls? Denise keeps little bowls. He'll put all the red things in one. And
so I did mine in like corners or like at the top. We had a table. And so I would just do the corners and I'd kind of separate what I thought, like, with the colors. But I didn't do the bowls because then I couldn't see it. So I wanted to like have it all out, like, so at least I could kind of see it and then realize, okay, this color doesn't really go here. I have to move it to like a different pile, but like all around the puzzle.
But you got your piles going on. Yeah.
Piles, yeah.
Which means you're leaving your puzzle there. It's like a fixture there.
It is. And then I'd
walk
walk by.
On the dining table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Denise has a big board and then we move the board very carefully off when we're having a meal and then it goes back on again.
Oh yeah, we have it's a wine table. Four chairs, stools around it, and
perfect.
And so we don't use it. It actually doesn't get used for anything except for puzzles. And it's perfectly. And then you can walk by because it's a little bit higher than like a table, and so you just walk by, and that's kind of how you get sucked into it because you're just walking by and you're like, I'm just gonna try it. And then sometimes you walk by and you're like, oh, that's where that piece went.
Exactly.
The time, that's where it went. Like it was that simple. So that gets stuck there.
So did you always work puzzles or is this just a COVID thing?
I think it's just a COVID thing.
That's what I'm hearing.
I read like most of my younger life, like I read books. And then I started to do the word search. There's other things that just relaxes my mind. And so I have word search books, which I love. And they're right over in our bedroom. And there's one out in our living room. And I just sit there and I'll do one word search. And I don't stop until I'm done. Like I don't leave it halfway. I have to get all of the words found or I can't get up. It's like the puzzle. You have something and you finish it. But for COVID, it was like, what else am I going to do? And I thought of a puzzle. And then as soon as we got done the first one, which was like 2 days, maybe, I went back to Target and then there was none.
Yeah.
Like what?
We've been getting puzzles at Ace Hardware, our local Ace Hardware, which is a weird thing, right down Broadway from you.
I was just going to say the one near me.
The one across the street from Safeway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
further down.
Yeah, that's where the doggy daycare is.
They've had some amazing puzzles there, and they're very reasonably priced.
We have an Ace near our house, and they have some really, really like cool like lotions and like shirts, and I was like, what is Ace doing with these things?
Yeah.
candy that, you can get in like Minneapolis, like you can't get anywhere else. Like,
And all the soft drinks they have that are
yeah.
like, whoa.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is Ace doing with this? But
Just broadening their base like Target did by adding the grocery store area there. That was
yeah,
pretty amazing. They added pharmacy and they added grocery. It's like everybody's trying to capture as much of the market as they can
yeah,
because we just don't have time to run to a million stores anymore.
it isn't. And I love going to Ace because there's like the things that I buy in there that I wouldn't get anywhere else.
Right, exactly.
Let's just go to Ace,
Yeah.
that's great. And they have just like really cool things that you can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have never thought that about Ace Hardware. It's a
I know.
hardware.
I know. Yeah, they carry that line of men's sort of work clothes. I forget the name of it. That they're very, very cool slacks and stuff. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Clothing.
There's one right down here for Max 6, right over by the McDonald's off, right over on Broadway as well. And I'm there often just to get little things in there for over here for Park Lane that I need. And I always make sure that I stop into the hardware to Ace instead of like the Home Depot, because I know somebody's hardware store, and I think they're privately owned, and so
they're franchised.
Yeah.
We
so
both of the ones on Broadway are Paul's Ace Hardware.
Paul's Ace Hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I tell you about hardware stores.
I try to remember, just because I know it's a small business, and I know there's somebody's name attached to it, and it's not a Home Depot. So I always go in there, and I live just walking around. It's actually just got a lot of really cool things to look at that I can't get anywhere else.
That's true. Yeah, going to Ace Hardware, the one that I go to across from Safeway, they also have popcorn, bags of popcorn that you can just take. And so I do, because I have chickens that I swear they know when I'm going to Ace Hardware, because I come back and they have popcorn. And it's that talk about chicken crack, popcorn.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
The one near us, I don't think does, near Max 6. I don't think that
They're all different.
The one near my house doesn't.
Yeah. I just remember the smell of popcorn, from drive-in movies and stuff. It's a very distinctive smell. Not like it is now in movie theaters. I wonder if movie theaters are coming back.
So Fat Cats was just built near our house off of the 202 and McKellips. It had like just opened maybe 2 months prior to COVID. I knew that they had opened up during the first, where you could kind of like go back and bars were open and the gyms were all fully open. And then they closed again, and I don't see any cars in the parking lot. So, I mean, it was new, and I'm curious on how they will adapt, because for that kind of facility, you'll be able to, I guess, watch movies, but seats are going to.
I wonder, because they're streaming and selling them online. I mean, you can rent a movie, and it's cheaper than going to the theater.
Yeah, I've never been a movie person. Eric, my husband, and Tarek love movies. They're so comfortable. I fall asleep. Like, so for me, like, I love it at home. I did notice that, because I know that, I remember when New York was really on the shutdown, they had that was huge, movie companies and not being able to get their product out, and having to find different ways to get movies out. Yeah, you can get them on Netflix, you can rent them on whatever.
It's amazing.
You have, yeah.
And they're new.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, because now, do you go back to certain things? Like,
I don't look at all that real estate involved. You who have a real estate license. Look at all that real estate involved. That is, and what is it? Google said that over 40% of their staff is going to be on permanent remote. Things are changing. Everybody doesn't have to go to the same place. It's so stupid in a way,
It is, but I from what I've experienced, at least just from, from the Mac 6 standpoint, is we have had a lot of people come in and get Flexdesks. Rent desks, because they are like, okay, this was great since March, but as time goes on, it's like, I can only do so much. And now your kids are still going to be home for, homeschooling. And at some point you might not even want your child to go back, because when we were sent something from Mesa Public Schools, it kind of asked you, like, would you like your child, or like, would your child come back to school? Or would it be like, hey, your child will come back 2 days a week, and then, they would be working from home from the other 3. But as you get people coming in and getting Flexdesks, they're like, I just can't work at home. The dog, the child, or I'm not as focused. It was great, but at some point, once again, it's like, you sometimes just need to be out of your 4 walls and come to somebody else's 4 walls to just to getting out of your own home. Because
coffee shops are not an option.
Yeah, I mean, because then you're really right near each other. There is nowhere. But we've had a lot of people and new members come in through the Flexdesks, and they love it. There's cleaning supplies. It gets cleaned twice a day, and then there's all kinds of disinfectants around. And so it's a great place to come, say hi to people.
And I think it's a very, very smart adaptation. I really do. It's like, wow, just a change of scenery sometimes.
Yeah, it really is, just to like have whether or not this is going to be the new normal, it's just getting out and being like, okay, I'm here, like I'm in a work environment. Might not be your ideal work environment, or it might end up being your ideal work environment. Like, you can still work from home, but if things get a little hectic and I need to be in an office, or I need to get somewhere for an hour, like, you have that option. At some point, the gym will be back open. We all hope, right? And because you want to work out, with one of the Flexdesks, you can work out at the gym. It's part of, your Flexdesk membership. So it's been interesting to see how many people really do want that and come back and be like, I can't work from home anymore. And I'm going back to their office, like you said, might not be an option ever again, or it might not be until January, until a lot of places are just like, we're going to put things off until January, and then we're going to reevaluate, but it might never look the same. So
you have a lot of exciting options and challenges going forward. You do.
But it's nice to have the option, right? Like, as an individual, I can work from home, or I can find somewhere else to work in what, like we talked about earlier, it's your comfort zone, right? What are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable in just renting a private office? And you're like, okay, then I come in and I go through the door and I'm in my own space, or am I comfortable out in a co-working environment with the masks and the disinfecting and electrostatic spraying and, so there is different options that people can take, and the flexibility that you have here.
Well, I'm delighted that you are back on board, and that you're excited and challenged by the direction Mac 6 is going in. And I appreciate you being a community builder. It always brightens my day when you come by, and Murray's day, because he knows where the treats are.
We'll have to set up a time for Murray and I to visit, because it's been quite some time.
It has. He's just over there taking his 6th or 7th nap of the day.
One
final question for you, Chrissy.
You got it.
If you could have dinner with anybody in the world, who would you like to have dinner with? Living or dead, incidentally.
Who would I like? That's a good question.
Isn't that a good question?
You know what? I don't, off the top of my head, I watched, it was an interview with Bill Gates. I think it's on Netflix.
Yes, it is. I saw it.
And I find him fascinating.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if he's like my ultimate, like if I had to think, like there might be other people, but since I watched that, him as a human and his wife and just hearing the story and the guy interviewing him and putting that out there, I just find him fascinating.
He is. I think he's extremely smart and fascinating. The work he's doing,
The
He just changed his
humanitarian,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
I,
All right.
yeah, that was
All
it.
right. You're having dinner with Bill Gates.
That'd be great. Like,
Wouldn't it?
just that easy.
Yeah. I reserve hopefully the right to call you again and have you come back maybe in 6-7 months when things have maybe changed.
Yeah,
Bring us back up to date on what's going on as a
you got
community
it.
builder for Mac
Yeah,
6. And
you
I'd
got
really
it.
like to thank you for being with us today.